Yes, indeed. That lovely, lovely music on a Sunday morning reminds us that, of course, it's time for my Sunday sermon. And I thought, given the leaders' debate was asked a pretty searching question on Channel 4 about whether the leaders trusted Boris Johnson, my question is actually, well, do we trust these leadership candidates? And I want your views on that. Do you trust them? Are they telling us the truth? And I want to focus on one particular issue on its own, really, because all of them have said that they are pro-net zero. So I thought, well, let's examine the truth about net zero, shall we? And are they telling us the truth on this? Can we trust them on the climate issue, on net zero? Because I don't believe that they are telling us the truth about this. My view is, and we're seeing it now, the evidence elsewhere in the world, my view is that their quest, Westminster's quest, to what I call the Westminster net zero, is the greatest single threat to our prosperity, our jobs, and our ability to feed ourselves. Because the truth is, and they won't tell the truth is that net zero is not achievable, it's not affordable, and nor, do you hear any of them say this, nor would it make any difference to the thing that people are almost most worried about, the rise in sea level. It wouldn't make any difference to sea level rise for between 200 and 1,000 years. Even if we went to net zero tomorrow, you'd have to wait at least 200 years to have any impact on sea level rise. Do you hear this truth from these candidates? If you doubt me, go to the IPCC report, page 41, D1.6. That's where the evidence is. And the evidence is mounting at home and abroad. And my first guest, Lord Matt Ridley, will be talking about what's going on in Sri Lanka. The evidence is incontrovertible and it's damning. It's brutal. And for the eco-zealots, it's a bit embarrassing. Is it a coincidence that the electricity price rose 3 times faster than the gas price for 15 years between 2005 and 2010, when gas prices stayed about the same? Is it a coincidence that during that time, the amount of renewable energy generation in the UK went from about 1% to just under 30%? Do you see the link? The more renewables you've got, then guess what? Your electricity price goes up and up and up. Is it a coincidence that as we import ever more energy from overseas, that our prices go up? And by the way, do you hear from these politicians that the more we import, the more CO2 we're actually creating? Maybe if we used our own local energy, we were self-reliant on energy, we'd have the win-win. We'd have lower prices and less CO2. That's rather smart. And the evidence is there, isn't it? It's in the United States. Is it a coincidence that in the US, where they use their domestic energy, where they use their shale gas, that they have gas prices and electricity prices a fraction of ours? Is that a coincidence? Just by good chance, good luck? Of course not. It is the brutal truth. I know it's embarrassing for the eco-fanatics, but it's the truth. And then, of course, lots of people thought it was a really good thing that a country like Sri Lanka was the first country to go green, to go organic. They were given a score of 98 out of 100 on the Environmental Sustainability and Green Governance Index. Great. Fantastic. Well done them. 18 months later, the country's gone bust, they haven't got any food, they're rioting, and the president has fled. Is that really what we want? Is that really the benefit of going green as a nation? That's the evidence, folks. That's the harsh reality that these leadership candidates don't want to touch. Of course, they're obviously very worried because that guru, Alok Sharma, has threatened to resign as president of COP26 if any of them change their way on their objective to net zero. Let me tell you, I think it'd be fantastic if Alok Sharma resigned. But the truth is, no one would notice. No one would notice whatsoever. He's a complete nobody. Is it a coincidence that when EU nations like the Netherlands, like Germany, like Italy, as they've been moving more and more towards sort of green issues, that their farmers are protesting more and more because their livelihoods are being taken away from them? The Netherlands, for example, a huge exporter of agricultural products. I talked about it last week. Is it a coincidence that Germany is now facing energy rationing because it's not self-sufficient in energy, because they shut down their nuclear industry in favour of renewable energy, wind, and in favour of relying on someone providing gas from overseas? Is that all a coincidence? No, it's hard evidence that the greener you go, the more you go towards net zero, the more problems you're going to have, the more rationing you're going to have, the higher prices you're going to pay, and eventually nations go bust, bankrupt, zero. As I've said before, the only thing that is actually zero is the amount of money in your bank account. And so I'm saying to all of us, this is what we should be challenging these leadership candidates on. The truth about going towards net zero. I'm all for reducing emissions. We all care about the environment. We all want cleaner air. But here's the point, and we all want to do our bit. The truth is, though, that Westminster's net zero is the wrong bit, at the wrong price, in the wrong time frame. And what will happen is that we will send all our jobs and all our money overseas to countries like China. And what will they do? As they build ever more coal-fired power stations, they will literally look at us and laugh at how stupid and how naive we have been. Now, there was a little chink of light. Liz Truss has said that she's pro-shale gas, but then she said, but it can only happen with local consent. Well, there are ways to achieve local consent, but if you state it like that, in a sense, what she's really doing, it's a cop-out. She hasn't got the courage to say, it's in our strategic national interest to use our own energy, to use the £1 trillion worth of shale gas treasure under our feet. I'm very clear on this. Nations that go green, nations that go net zero, there's only one thing they go broke, and eventually they go hungry. Now, talking about truth, 3 weeks ago, I told the truth about the economic crisis that we face being the gravest since World War II. Have you heard any of these candidates telling it as it is, facing into the reality of the gravity of the situation? And have they put forward some really truthful, clear, bold, costed plans, detailed answers? No, you get vague waffle about tax cuts. You're not getting the truth. You're getting nothing from this lot. Zero. Niente. Zip. No detail whatsoever. They're either incompetent, they're either naive, or they're not telling you the truth. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Because you won't get any help from this lot. And here endeth my Sunday sermon.